Hello children, I once again welcome you to the online session. Okay, what are the three types of heat transfer? The transfer of heat from warmer object to the cooler object is called as transfer of heat. So there are three types of heat transfer. They are, what is the first one? Conduction. Second one is convection and then radiation. Now we will be discussing this conduction, convection and radiation one by one. So whether you are taking notes, yes or no? So note it down carefully. Okay. So what is the first one? Conduction. The flow of heat by direct contact. The flow of heat by direct contact is called conduction. So now also they are telling no to maintain social distance, not to touch anyone. If we touch anyone, corona will pass from one person to another person. The same thing here. So the heat is transferred here from direct contact. If you are not touching it, you are not able to feel the heat. So here the heat is transferred from warmer object to colder object, but by direct contact with touch. For example, if you are heating a water, if the object is placed somewhere else, if so the heat is here, the object is here, whether it would get heated, tell me. So a water is placed in a beaker on this side, so here the gas gets burnt. So whether the water will get heat? No, because here the heat is transferred by the method of direct contact. We need to place that object in contact with the gas or with the fire or flame. This method of transfer is called conduction. So conduction takes place in solids. I said you right already, the atomic arrangements. So there are three states of matter. They are solids, liquids and then gases. What are the three states of matter? Solids, liquids and gases. In solids, note it down children, in solids the atoms are closely packed with each other. There is a regular atomic arrangement. But in liquids, the atoms are loosely packed. In liquids, the atoms are loosely packed, and in gases, they are very loosely packed. This you had been studied already in the 6th standard. Yes, in separation of groups, objects into groups, about different types of objects, their properties, everything. So here in solids the atoms are arranged tightly, in liquids the atoms are arranged loosely, and then in case of gases it is very loose. So only the gases are able to flow easily, but the solids are not able to move from place. Yes, so if we keep it here it will be there, it will not flow. But if you pour the liquid, what happens? It will flow. That is due to the reason is the atomic arrangement. Okay. So in direct contact, if you are heating a piece of iron rod, consider. So if you are heating this end, so consider here the candle is there, or heating an iron rod. So to which end does it get hot first? So here, which is in direct contact with it, it gets heated this here. So afterwards the heat is transferred from atom to atom and it passes to the other end. So if you are touching a hot object, what happens? You remove your hand immediately away from it, because the heat is transferred from the object to your hands. So this method is called as conduction. Coming to the second one, it is convection. Listen carefully children now, okay. So convection takes place in liquids and gases. Convection takes place in liquids and gases. So liquids and gases are together called as fluids. Okay. Consider we are heating a water. So the water which is there in the bottom gets heated first. Yes or no? Yes or no children? If you are keeping a pan of water or a beaker of water on a stove. So if we touch that, what happens? The water which is there in the bottom gets heated first, which is there in the top remains cool. So due to this heat difference, the warmer, so down it is very hot. So the density of molecules reduces. The density of density means nothing but it is weight. That is mass by volume. So density is nothing but weight, that is mass by volume. So the objects which are in the molecules which are in the bottom are, what happens? The density reduces compared to the cold water molecules. So the cold water molecules has higher density molecules. The warmer water has lower density molecules. What happens if there is density difference? Which is heavier one comes down. The lighter one goes up. Yes or no? If you are keeping two objects on a physical balance, what happens? The heavier one comes down, the lighter one goes up as it is in the slide. So that is the same thing. So the water molecules which is in the bottom gets heated first. So the density reduces, but the water which is there in the top, they are cool as compared to the bottom ones. So their density is high. Due to this density difference, the cooler water comes down and the hotter object goes up. This method of heat transfer is called convection between different. See here, of movement of a fluid. Here this molecules moves, but in solids they do not move. Heat only transferred, but here the molecules are transferred from place to place. So this type of heat transfer is called as convection. Shall I tell you again? Just listen. Which is there in the bottom gets heated first, which is there in the top is cooler compared to the bottom one. So what happens to the density of molecules? Which is there in the down or less density, but which is there in the top has higher density. Due to this density difference, which is there in the top comes down, which is there in the bottom goes up. See, you are able to see an arrow marks, right? This blue color is the movement of the cooler molecules, and this red one indicates the movement of the warmer molecules. So it again, what happens? Which is there in the down gets heated, which is there in the top is cool. Comparison between the two. Again, what happened? Due to the density difference, it comes down, it goes up. So now the water gets heated. This method of heat transfer is called as convection. Are you clear? If you have any doubts, note down your questions. Just clarify your doubts with me. Okay. Shall we go to the next one? What is the next method? Radiation. Heat can be transmitted through empty space. What do you mean by empty space? Where there is no objects, no air molecules, anything. It is vacuum. Vacuum means nothing but there is no air, nothing. By thermal radiation, often called. What do you mean by thermal radiation? Thermal means nothing but it is heat. By heat radiation, this method is called as, the best example, see here, sun rays are reaching to the earth. So we have atmosphere up to certain limit, that is air molecule. But in the space, is there any air molecules? No. In the space there is no air molecules. But what happened? The sunlight reaches, it travels through the empty space and then reaches the earth. Yes or no? So what is this type called as? Radiation. So the heat transmitted in empty space is called radiation. Listen, during cold season, that is winter seasons, we are feeling very cool. So at that time, what the people used to do, they used to fire the wood logs. So whether we are touching it directly to feel the heat? No, we are keeping our hands at a distance. So the heat gets transferred in the air and reaches our hand. So our hands became warmer and we used to keep that here and we feel the warmness. So this type of heat transfer is radiation. This radiation can take place in air and also in empty space. Okay. Now see here. So the three methods of heat transfer. conduction, convection, and then radiation. Okay, what is this conduction? So here this pan gets heated. The water also get heated. So if you are touching it directly, what is that? Conduction. We feel the heat. Convection is nothing but, so inside this the water molecules moves and it gets heated. This is convection. And then radiation. If something is burning very hot, if we are standing nearby it, we are able to feel the heat. So this method is radiation. Yes, if something is burning somewhere, if you are moving towards that, across it, we are able to feel the heat. What is that method? Radiation. Okay, so the three methods of heat transfer takes place. So conduction in solids, convection in liquids and gases, and radiation in empty space, and also in gases. These are the three types of heat transfer. Now we will be seeing about the difference between conduction, convection, and then radiation. So what are the three types? Conduction, convection, and radiation. What are the different? First, medium, where it takes place. So conduction takes place in solid medium, convection in liquids and also in gases. Radiation, it do not require any medium. Okay, it can takes place at any place. And then how the heat is transferred? Heat flows from, in conduction, the heat flows from one particle to the other particle. I said you right, but the particles remain in a fixed position. The heat flows from one particle to the other particle. But in convection, heat is carried by the movement of particles. In convection, the particles itself move from place to place. But in conduction, the particles remain stable in fixed position. The heat only transferred from one to the another. But in convection, the particles itself move and the heat is transferred. And in radiation, heat is transferred in the form of electromagnetic waves. I said you right, EM waves. Yes, it comes in the form of radiation. And then, can conduction process takes place in vacuum? No. Convection also does not takes place in vacuum, but the only process which takes place in vacuum is radiation. And is the rate of heat transfer is slow or fast? Here it is slow. It is fast compared to conduction, but radiation it is very much faster. So this is the difference between conduction, convection, and then radiation. Are you clear with this? So we had seen about heat. We had recalled the last class, and then what we had seen? Heat transfer. Heat transfer. There are three types: conduction, convection, and then radiation. Yes, conduction, touching a hot pan or an object, takes place in solids. Convection, boiling of water. Okay, and then radiation, sunlight reaching us and then heating something. Okay, heating something and we are feeling that heat is known as radiation. So radiation takes place in vacuum. Conduction takes place in solids. Convection takes place in both liquids and gases. So up to this I hope you are clear, children. Listen, take your book, read what is there inside it. In the next class also we are going to see the continuation of this conduction, convection and radiation. So these three are the basic for the next class. So try to have a clear idea about it before going to the next session. So these three are the basic for the next topic which we are going to see. I hope you are clear. Still if you have any doubt, clarify your doubts with me, okay? And then try to take your book and have reading habits. Try to find the meaning of important words which you are not able to understand. I am here to help you, children. Okay, so I thank you all for listening the class patiently. So be at home, be safe, and always try to have a clear idea about the concepts. Okay, children, thank you. Bye. Have a nice day.